What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out a video that is going to be stressing on de-dollarization. A lot of people still do not believe this is a thing. Well, this one is titled Qatar just dumped the dollar. Stuns everyone by joining forces with Russia and Saudi Arabia. Let's get to it.
In a world where the tides of trade are shifting, a bold and unprecedented move is making waves on the global stage. Qatar, a nation rich in culture and innovation, is rewriting the narrative of international trade. A historic partnership is forming as Qatar and Russia join forces to forge a new path in economic relations. The once mighty dollar, now questioned and challenged, takes a backseat to a fresh contender. Witness the birth of a financial revolution where innovation meets tradition and a nation dares to embrace a new era of prosperity. Get ready to explore a world where currency isn't just exchanged, it's reinvented. Stay tuned for an exclusive look at Qatar's groundbreaking leap into the future.
They call it a leap into the future, de-dollarization.
That like button. Also, make sure to subscribe to Tech
for real,
Revolution, and we're excited to share this video with you. So let's take a stroll through history, shall we? After World War II, the US had this fantastic economy going on, and that led to the US dollar becoming the star of the show, the world's top dog currency. This meant tons of countries stocked up on US dollars and used them for trading and financial stuff. It was like the US had this superpower status in the global economy. But guess what's been happening lately? There's this trend called de-dollarization making the rounds. Loads of countries are trying to be less buddy-buddy with the US dollar when they do international business. Now, why is that? Well, first, some countries are feeling a bit on edge about the US economic game plan. Like, imagine if the US decided to put trade restrictions or give sanctions. Countries super tied to the dollar might get caught in a sticky situation. Next up, we've got the roller coaster of exchange rates. Currencies can be all over the place, and if you're hanging on to a bunch of US dollars when the value goes wild, you're in for a ride. Mixing up the currency menu can help smooth out the bumps. Oh, and let's not forget the geopolitics. Also, some countries are in tight buds with other regions, and it just makes more sense for them to use a different currency for their trade and investments. To tackle this trend, some countries are shaking hands on deals to trade in their currencies, or others skipping the whole US dollar dance.
BRICS is doing it especially now.
This could slowly change the way the financial world looks and maybe even give the US dollar a bit of a nudge from its top spot. Keep in mind though, this de-dollarization thing isn't a quick fix. The US dollar is pretty rooted as the big cheese of global reserve currencies, so making changes would be like a marathon, not a sprint. But hey, all of this shows how the global economy is always on the move, and countries are doing their best to keep their financial future steady in this big interconnected world. Now let us review this meeting that went down in June. Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin and Qatar's Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani got together to chat about something pretty intriguing. They tossed around the idea of using their currencies, the ruble and rial, for payments. Prime Minister Mishustin was all about this move, saying it's gonna jazz up the launch of some fresh new joint projects. Now let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Trade between Russia and Qatar has been chugging along nicely, even in the face of some global economic challenges. In the first 4 months of the year, they racked up over 1.5 billion rubles, which is nearly 70 million Qatari riyals. Not too shabby, right? What's neat is that this smooth trading dance is backed by a rock-solid strategic partnership, especially in the energy sector. See, Qatar's investment authority has its fingers in the pie of the Russian energy heavyweight, Rosneft. It's like they're playing the long game together. And guess what? Russia isn't the only one thinking about giving the US dollar a bit of a break. In an interview, Dmitry Dogodkin mentioned that they're working on spicing up trade with Qatar by switching to their currencies. The plan is to...
In the just completed BRICS summit, don't worry, we'll take it back. But in the just completed BRICS summit, Putin stated that they've been able to bring down the use of the dollar to like 20%. They brought it down amongst BRICS nations to like 20%. And in case you were not up to date, 6 more nations have joined the BRICS. And this is, I think they called it Declaration 1. They have 2 coming up very soon, which means more nations will be joining. And all these nations would be expected to transact. Not expected, but they would try to transact using their national currencies to improve their own national economies rather than, the dollar. So you see how it's going bit by bit, but it's happening. There's advancements in the de-dollarization. So if you still think it's not happening, you might want to look at it again.
To dial up the diversity and move away from relying too much on the US dollar. It's like a financial flavor burst. This idea of moving away from the US dollar is starting to catch on around the world. Recently, India and Indonesia high-fived and decided to use their local currencies in their trade talks. Even Iraq hopped on the train, saying they'll trade with China using yuan for the first time. Change is in the air, my friend. On a more recent note, the Russian ambassador to Qatar, Dmitry Dogodkin, spilled the beans during an interview. He mentioned that they're cooking up plans to diversify trade and switch to their national currencies. It's like they're shaking up the usual routine and trying something new. Doha is definitely on Russia's radar, being seen as a big deal in the Middle East, especially in the world of liquefied natural gas. Qatar's like that player everyone wants on their team. Dmitry Dogodkin, the Russian ambassador to Doha, thinks Qatar is an awesome partner. He's confident that they're just scratching the surface of their potential collaboration. Last year, Russia amped up its food and agricultural exports to Qatar by more than half, which is pretty impressive. And get this, in the first quarter of 2023, trade between the two countries hit nearly $70 million. This currency switch-up idea isn't just a casual chat. It came up during a meeting between Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin and Qatar Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani. Dmitry Dogodkin mentioned the whole plan in his chat with RIA Novosti. Now here's the interesting part. Qatar hasn't dropped any public comments about this yet. They've been importing around $150.56 million worth of goods from Russia. But there's still untapped potential, according to Russian President Vladimir Putin. He's thinking there's a lot more room to grow this partnership. During a meetup in Moscow with Sheikh Mohammed, Putin was like, hey, the current trade numbers are cool, but there's room to level up. He's hoping this special commission they've got going between Russia and Qatar will come up with some awesome ideas.
And more people are so interested in this. Even the Eritrean president spoke on it in the summit. They are interested in this because of the sanctions on Russia, mostly. $300 billion, I think, of Russian money has been held for this reason. And in the speech the Eritrean president made, he said it's illegal, or I think he said illegitimate to do that. And Putin also said it's illegitimate to do that. Now you can make up your own defense to say why it's justifiable, but these nations are seeing the sanctions as a weaponization of currency, and that's why they are running away from the dollar.
This special commission they've got going between Russia and Qatar will come up with some awesome ideas to boost their relationship. Among all the Russian players in this game, the Russian Direct Investment Fund is the standout star in the Qatar collab. Aside from all those stocks, they're chatting about cooking up some joint projects that are worth a whopping $1.9 billion. Mishustin, the Russian Prime Minister, is pretty pumped about this collaboration. He's all about how Qatar's investment authority is diving into some major Russian companies. Plus, their partnership with the Russian Direct Investment Fund is a success story in the making. they've got a bunch of other projects brewing too, worth a snazzy 160 billion rubles or 7.2 billion Qatari riyals. Big numbers, right? Now let's chat numbers for a sec. Between January and April, their mutual trade reached over a cool QAR 70 million, which is around $19 million. Mishustin spilled the beans on this too. He mentioned how, despite a tough global economic situation, they're still making those trade moves. Oh, and they're not just focused on business, they're eyeing the global gas market too. Mishustin had this cool point about working together to make sure there's a nice balance between supply and demand. It's like they're making sure both the gas producers and consumers are happy campers. But that's not all. Mishustin is thinking about bringing people closer, quite literally. He's talking about new air routes, which could mean more direct flights between the two countries. Right now, they've got those Moscow-Doha flights, but they're looking to expand the map. It's not just about business, it's about strengthening personal ties and making it easier for folks to connect. And there you have it. Thanks for joining us on this eye-opening journey into the world of international trade and
Okay, let me know what you think about that one. The Russia-Ukraine conflict has really made a lot of people see how much the dollar could affect a nation if a sanction is placed. I mean, referencing Russia in this case, $300 billion, like I had mentioned before, Russia cannot use it, and there are nations who $300 billion is a lot of money to some nations. I mean, all nations actually, but there are some nations who their yearly GDP is not even up to that. So imagine if they had managed to have a reserve of 300 billion and then you sanction it. It means you're going to kill them. And they've seen it as now they see an opportunity with BRICS to run away from this and transact using national currencies. Don't you think they would take it? Absolutely. So most nations are leaning towards BRICS now. The BRICS summit that happened yesterday, I thought only 20 nations were invited. Apparently it turned out, I think about 60, I was told, nations were invited. And almost 100 nations are looking to join the BRICS. Don't you think if those nations join the BRICS, they would want to transact the same way with national currencies? Yeah. So yeah, the dollarization is happening. It might not be fast, but even the slow steps are very dangerous, very, very dangerous. And you never know, like you can't see like a timeline or a timestamp where it's going to all go down. It could go down anytime. Like, anyways, I'll let the professionals and the economy speak on that. I'm not a professional. I'm just speculating from what I've been seeing. But you feel free to talk to me, share your thoughts. This is the end of this video. Smash the like button. I might sound a little bit down today because I'm not feeling too well. So pardon me, forgive me if I'm kind of shaky all around the place. It's the end of this video. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a wonderful day. Peace. I made this bed on my own.